I find myself quite often wishing that the Archbishop of Canterbury would speak more clearly the Christian message and the uniqueness of the Christian message. But of course, the Christian message does include saying that some things are wrong and that we all need forgiveness for those things. So I quite often wish he would speak out more clearly on some of the other moral issues of our day, like transgenderism or abortion or sexual morality and various issues like that. Certainly he has a right to speak out on political issues, because all political issues at the end of the day are moral issues. And so he has a right to speak out on this. Whether I agree with him or not, I'm not sure, because, I have some sympathy with Priti Patel saying, well, what is your alternative, Justin Welby? Here's our plan. We think it will save lives. We think it will reduce child migrants, which means saving lives, and enable us to focus on the more genuine asylum seekers. And both of those, saving lives and focusing on asylum seekers, are Christian moral imperatives. So I wonder with Priti Patel what Justin Welby's alternative is, but certainly I think he has a right to speak out on the political and moral issues of our day. And the question for the nation is, where do we get our moral values from if we're not getting it from Christianity?
Is there a problem here in that Justin Welby is head of the established church, of the state religion, and that to some extent that carries a greater responsibility to speak not quite for the country, but certainly with the country? It might be easier to see the heads of non-established churches wading into political issues and contentious matters of the day. Does the Church of England specifically carry a special responsibility here?
Yes, it does. But, it's not a state church. It's an established church, not a state church. But a slight difference there. And that means it certainly has the right to criticise government policy when he thinks that it's wrong. And I think that's fair enough. He has the right to do that, and people can choose to listen or not. He doesn't have an authority to say, you must not do this and cannot do this. But he can say, I think this is against what God would do. Like many others, I'm questioning, well, what is the alternative then? The current plan obviously isn't working and is causing a risk to lots of people, and meaning we're not focusing on proper asylum seekers. So the government's tried to come up with another plan. I'm not convinced that is the right plan either. But I think we should be hesitant to criticise it without coming up with some alternative. At least the government's come up with a plan that it thinks will work. But, Welby's totally within his rights to step in and try and bring a moral dimension and try and say, let's look at what the Christian moral values are in this. And I'm pleased that he's doing it in that sense, even while I'm not sure that I agree entirely with his position.